I just tried this a second ago and it took me 13 minutes, so that was way too long. I am going to cut this down hopefully and try to speed it up a little bit. So the theory or model that I selected was this. So first off, most everyone knows that I'm an Army Nurse Corps officer. So as you can probably guess, part of my leadership style and theory that I've chosen, revolves around the military leadership model, which was briefly mentioned in our lead load text from the leadership class we took. But I feel like I have somewhat of a unique spin on it. I really, it's more of a compilation, kind of a mishmash. Is that the right word? For me. So it's really kind of the generic military leadership style that we're taught in the service, and servant leadership. Servant leadership is something that I have found works very well for me. I'll talk a little bit about it later, but it takes a lot of time and effort to make this type of leadership style model work effectively. But that's what works best for me, and that's what I'm going to be talking about here. So, report on the concepts of the model and the application to your leadership in your leadership DMP project. So, like I said, my version relies heavily on concepts from the servant leadership model. In that model, in case you don't know, a lot of you probably do, it's really centered. Think of it more as an inverted pyramid, right? Typical leadership, you get the regular pyramid with the leader at the top type thing. In servant leadership, you can kind of invert that pyramid. And you can view that as maybe closer to the bottom, because what you're doing is you're really trying to serve the team, like the title says, right? You're trying to set that team up for success. You're trying to put them in the best position, watching out for their well-being, making sure they have everything they need to succeed. And in turn, the job gets done and you have a highly successful and productive team is what ends up happening when this is done right. So anyway, that's kind of the concepts behind it, right? You're trying to put them in the best position rather than just telling somebody what to do. I've always felt really strongly that this leadership style does work really well. In my mind, it motivates people. It gets people to the point where they feel like, hey, I'm believed in. And the organization and my boss cares about me and is actually wanting to see me do better, not just here at the workplace, but in general. And that really makes for a strong team and for a highly functioning team as well. So what I really try to emphasize in this type of model to the team is respect and mutual understanding, and a stressing of the importance of servant leadership, because hopefully they will kind of try to implement the same thing with their folks as well. And a tempered response in times of increased pressure. Be nice to each other. that pays huge dividends. And I see my responsibilities in this type of leadership style as being the responsible one for building that cohesive team through trust, and creating shared understanding of the mission with the team, providing clear intent to the team, allowing and encouraging disciplined initiative in the team members, and aligning what we're doing as a team with that of the intent of higher leadership. That's something that really comes from the military side. It happens in corporate America too. And accepting prudent risk. So me as the leader in this type of model, I really need to be willing to accept prudent risk, especially under unusual circumstances, and especially when I'm expecting and promoting that disciplined initiative in my team members, right? So, how has it worked in this DMP project so far? I will tell you that it's worked extremely well. Probably because most of my team members have worked with me in the past and are very used to my leadership style. Having said that, all my team members are professionals and subject matter experts, so they probably would not respond well to a top-down approach. This type of approach, where it's really more collaborative, works pretty darn well for the DMP project, and really has to this point. So how has this theory helped me as a clinical leader? Gosh, I as military officers, we are taught leadership from the second we put our little pinky toe into the military up until the day that we retire. It never stops. And we're really expected to study leadership and find out what works best for us, within that the confines of of the military. We are definitely expected to operate under a hierarchy. A certain level of discipline is there and observance to military norms. But having said that, as individual leaders, we are able to lead our teams how we see fit within those confines. And for me, what I found over the years is that servant leadership really has worked best for me and my personality. So, I guess for me, using this approach, my team members know that I value their input and their contributions and their professionalism and just everything they individually bring to the team. And they know that in turn, they know that I'll end up fighting for their needs. Providing them the space and what they need to get the job done, and really promoting them personally and professionally, wanting them to do better and to grow as individuals. So it's really a symbiotic type of relationship. And really buying into this type of leadership style has helped me immensely as a clinical leader and as a military officer, because I've been able to produce some pretty darn high functioning teams this way, basically really just built on trust and belief in one another. So what barriers have I had and how have I overcome them? So there's two, in my experience, there's two key problems with this type of leadership style. The first one is that sometimes you'll find people that want to take advantage of the situation. Not most people. Really don't come into it with that mindset. But sometimes you will find some folks who are thinking, gosh, look at all this autonomy I'm getting here. What is, I'm not having someone breathing down my neck all the time, and they want to take advantage of it. First off, don't assume that that's what the case is when you kind of see this at first and you think maybe that's what's happening. Sometimes I've found what it is it's really, the person just struggling with something maybe at home or something like that. And I've actually found in those circumstances that you can then take that as an opportunity to further create a stronger bond with that individual. And then they become an even better team member. But I digress. Sometimes people really are just dirtbags. They really are taking advantage of the situation. In that case, it really takes a lot of counseling and maybe even dismissal from the team, those type of things. And it really takes you shifting to more of a top-down approach with that individual until the problem's resolved. Which does bring me to the second part. This type of leadership takes an immense amount of effort on the part of the leader. It is really, really, really relationship centric, right? So it takes a lot of time to build and maintain these relationships. And without these relationships, this type of leadership style, in my experience, really just falls flat on its face. And you really have to be invested in it. If you're not invested in it, your team will understand that, and they will recognize and they will see right through it that you're just trying to use it as a tool. And it doesn't then produce these strong teams. So it does take a lot of effort on the leader's part, like I said, to build and maintain these relationships. So that is kind of a hurdle, but it's definitely overcomable, especially if you believe in the concept and believe in those ideas and really do believe in your team. And that's all I got. Thanks a lot, guys.